Yeah, thanks.
So I'm glad because now you guys have heard that at least we will be able to hear this wonderful East Coast lilt, because I was going to tease Chris that he's been at county now so long he doesn't even have an accent anymore. So when he told me he was actually born on the Rock and then moved over to Nova Scotia, I thought, wow, he lost it. So, but luckily Peter, I guess because he only went away for a short period, it sounds like, he made sure he came back to Cape Breton Islands. So he made sure he kept that wonderful Cape Breton accent. So again, we're extremely fortunate because Peter agreed to come out on relatively short notice, because we had been talking to Rankin McSween about trying to arrange coming out, and our dates kept moving a bit. So again, Peter was kind enough to agree to come in and step in for us. So Peter is the Chief Financial Officer for Nudon Enterprises. And any of you, if you happen to be students of Community Economic Development, the very first community development corporation ever created in Canada. And certainly, as you can gather from Chris's point of view, there's something about the creativity, obviously, of Nova Scotia, that they don't just produce great musicians, but creativity and sort of thinking things. That Nudon has, I think, been at the forefront of a bunch of very, very exciting initiatives as far as community economic development, and has always been sort of known for pushing the envelope and being extremely innovative. So again, Peter was kind enough. He's going to take us through now some more very specific examples of how Nudon itself runs this CDIF program, because there's been a bit of an evolution that I think Peter was going to mention, that when they first started raising the funds, it was for Nudon managed projects, and now they've evolved over time where they're making direct investments into businesses as well. So with that, for you, Peter.
You figured out our rural, you can either say click or you just nod.
Sure.
Give me some kind of sign.
Sure.
You'll get some kind of sign already.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank Gordon for the invite. Unlike Chris, this is my first presentation outside of Nova Scotia on our CEDA program. So just bear with me. Hopefully you get a lot of information from it. So again, my name is Peter Cameron. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Nudon Enterprises. I'll go through a little bit about Nudon Enterprises, the demographics of Cape Breton Island, where I'm from, and then I'll go into a little bit more specifics on some of the advertising, the process, the CEDA process, and the investments that we've made, and some of the details of the investments that we've made. So Nudon Enterprises, we are located in Sydney, Nova Scotia. We were incorporated in 1976, and I had to correct Mike this morning at breakfast. He thought we were incorporated in 1977, so first line on my slide is 1976, so I had to quickly correct him. We are the oldest community development corporation in Canada. We are a wealth-creating enterprise operating for the benefit of the local community, so there's no shareholder, there's no one person that benefits from the profits. All the profits are reinvested back into the community. We employ approximately 200 individuals across all of our enterprises, which I'll go through in the next slide or two. Our mission: to engage the community to create and support a culture of self-reliance. So I think that's why we're all here. And our website is www.nudon.ca. If you'd like to go to our website after this to look at some of the different projects that we do have. So I'm going to go through some of the projects, and then I'll show a little corporate structure on the next slide. So Nudon Real Estate. This is one of the first activities of Nudon. So we are the largest landlord in Cape Breton. We have 193 residential units, 5 commercial buildings, and 27 homes that we have. We call them shimmy units, and they're for supported housing for individuals with mental illness. So we have a partnership with the federal government to build those homes, and we supply low rent for these homes for people with mental illness. Healthcare, we have 3 primary healthcare companies within our healthcare division. We have Nudon Home Care, where we have individuals that would go into homes, primarily elderly, that we provide personal care and housekeeping services. We also have a contract with our regional hospital, where we have employees that would go into rooms where the patients need 24-hour care or 24-hour supervision, where the nurses can't be there 24 hours, so people don't fall out of bed or don't wander around. So we have a contract with our regional hospital, so we call that our hospital sitting business. Well, we call them sitters. We have a 30-bed guest home, so that's a 30-bed facility for primarily elderly individuals with mental illness. Then we have a small options home where we have 21 individuals that live in 7 duplexes. So on one side of the duplex we have 3 individuals, and on the other side we have the caregiver for those 3 individuals, so they live somewhat independent. We have a private career college also. So we have 4 diploma programs. We have 2 welding programs, a basic and a what we call a high pressure pipe, or a more advanced welding course. We have a continuing care assistant course, or CCA, and we have a hair design or cosmetology course as well. So we have about 100 students in that private career college. Our Meals on Wheels program, we deliver about 10,000 meals in our community each year. They're all delivered by volunteers, and primarily to elderly people, and the cost is about $6.50 per meal, so relatively inexpensive. We have a community engagement and education series. So we have approximately 12 per year, where we engage the community, have focus groups on different topics, including the environment, health and wellness, arts and culture. So it's just a series to bring people in the community together to talk about important issues. Our most recent project, and it's a large project, the Nudon Center for Social Innovation. So we purchased a former high school and attached was a convent to that, so it was run by the nuns. The high school was run by the nuns. So both buildings, I think the high school is 35,000 square feet. The convent was also another 30,000 or 35,000 square feet. So the big complex is 70,000 square feet. So we're developing that into a center for arts and culture and innovation. So the first part of the project was to get tenants in the high school part, and I think we're about 90% full right now. We just started last May, so that's going very well. And then the last project is our Nudon Seedups. So we've had 8 campaigns, which I'll go over in a little bit. We've raised almost $9.4 million, and we've invested and we've distributed $950,000 in dividends back to the community. So this is, I apologize, it looks a little busy.
Busy organization.
Yes, it definitely is. So Nudon Enterprises is in the middle, and all the various circles and outside of the various divisions. So every color represents a different project or activity. So again, the college on the left-hand side, real estate, the Holy Angels project that was the name of the school, was Holy Angels, so we call that now the Nudon Center for Social Innovation. We do have a small renewable energy project, or 2 actually. One is a cold climate greenhouse, and we've also been working with some First Nations on some renewable wind energy. Our CEDA, so we have 3 CEDA funds in our CEDA program, our Nudon Healthcare, and then up top is our engagement series. To the right, we also have 3 different partnerships that we have with various community groups that are not under the Nudon Enterprises banner, but we still have a partnership with them. So it's, again, there's a lot going on. We have about, I think, over 20 different companies that are operating. When I started about 4 years ago, one of the things that we wanted to do was reduce the actual number of companies to reduce the administration, and I think we've started 5 more since I started, so for various reasons. So Breton Island, again, we probably have about 1/5 of the population of Nova Scotia, about 150,000. In Sydney, where Nudon Enterprise is located, we have probably 80 to 100,000 people in the municipality. We are rural because we don't have a Costco. There's been talk and rumors for several years, but we still don't have one. So I think we're still classified as rural. So we have a historical dependence on fishing, coal and steel industries. The coal and steel industries closed in the late 90s. The steel plant was subsidized by the provincial government, while the coal companies were subsidized by the federal government. So we've had significant challenges of out-migration. So one of the items that we tell people is that we are losing the equivalent of a Lewisburg. A Lewisburg is a town in Cape Breton with about 1,000 people. So we're losing about 1,000 people every year of out-migration. And we've had a significant challenge with unemployment ranging from 15 to 20% at times. So the challenge, and again, Chris has some figures with Nova Scotia. I'll drill down a little bit with Cape Breton. We contribute about $100 million in RSPs each year. And again, less than 1% stays in Cape Breton. So 99% of those investments go to create wealth in other parts of Canada. I have Bay Street there, so basically all the money is going to Toronto financial centers. And figuratively speaking, Cape Bretoners send their children to these areas to participate in employment opportunities. So, like I just indicated, we have out-migration, so people go to Toronto and participate in the wealth that our money was sent to do. And again, access to capital has been very difficult for small businesses. So the opportunity, a prosperous Cape Breton depends on the investment dollars being put to work here. So the province of Nova Scotia, like Chris mentioned, provides the means for the citizens of Cape Breton through the CEDA program. And all money invested in the CEDA creates, supports, and sustains future and economic gains in Cape Breton. So I'll just explain a little bit about the CEDA process. So typically, and this happens all year round, Nudon will try to identify companies in the local area so we can use those for our offering document. Like Chris explained before, the offering document is a document we submit to the Securities Commission and Department of Finance that explains the plan of what we're going to do, of why we're going to raise the money. So that's year round. Typically we get the offering document submitted in November or December to the Securities Commission. And that process, generally we send it to the Securities Commission, they'll come back with changes, and then it's sometimes it'll last a month, sometimes it'll last even longer, the process going back and forth. But we typically like to get it approved, or what Chris indicated is what we call a letter of non-objection. At Nudon, we take we have a pool every year to see when that letter of non-objection is going to come in. So and whoever, typically one of the things in our office is we have whenever there's a birthday, we'll have a cake, and I love chocolate cake. So one of the things, whoever gets closest gets the chocolate cake. So that's how we celebrate. So.
Have you ever won?
No, I haven't. No. And it's funny you asked that. This year I thought was going to be, we had our annual meetings in October for the CEDA companies. And one of the things I said is I think this is going to be easiest one yet. The easiest offering document, easiest plan. I think we're going to get approval very quickly. And lo and behold, in the middle of January, the Securities Commission changed some rules, and it kind of threw a wrench into those plans. So our approval didn't get, I think it was February 1st or January 31st when we actually got approval. So I was wrong again. So we also developed a promotional budget and strategy. We have various meetings, typically in December and early January, on once we know what the companies we're going to raise the money for, we develop a strategy and a budget, and I'll go over some of the different advertising media that we use. So during the CEDA process, there's 3 dedicated staff to the CEDA program. Myself and 2 others are pretty well January, February, and half of March are dedicated solely to the CEDA program, between meeting investors and preparing the paperwork. And then throughout the year, there's also ongoing administration of the CEDA companies, including dividends and letters to our shareholders. Some of the promotional material that we use, we use billboards, newspapers, brochures, which I'll show in the next couple of slides. Recently, we've just tried Facebook and to reach the younger investors. That we did get 2 or 3 this year from Facebook. We also have seminars where we would have the investee corporations do a presentation, generally in the evening, to explain what they would use the money for, a little bit about their companies, etc. We've also produced a video, and I'm not sure if we have the ability to show that video, but we've also showed a video.
Well, I think it's one of them.
Okay.
Today, I think.
Okay, this was a promotional video. So we also put a promotional video just to explain RSPs, the benefits, some of the numbers, basically some of the information that's already on our brochure. Go to the next. Sorry, we'll go to the next slide.
Okay.
There we go. So on the right-hand side, so it's a leaflet folded in 3. So on the front, which is the right part of the screen, invest local. So that is our theme, invest local. So we have a couple of testimonials from some people in the local area. So again, we indicate it's RRSP eligible. Some of the details: 35% non-refundable tax credit. We've issued a 3% annual dividend in the past, and 100% redemption rate. That's 2 of the keys, I think, to our CEDA has been the regular dividends. So we issue dividends twice a year. So in January and July, our investors receive a green envelope, and inside, if you're a non-RRSP, is a check. If you're an RRSP investor, you receive the letter indicating that the RRSP check has been sent to the RRSP trustee. So on the left-hand side, we have some of the 8 reasons to invest. Again, all the money goes local, etc. So here's the back part of our brochure. Again, the middle part is in the white, indicates, basically provides some numerical examples of $1,000 numerical investment, $350 non-refundable tax credit for years 0 to 5, and another $200 if you invest in the rollover credit from years 5 to 10, and years 10 to 15, $100. So this year, we actually had our first year where we had individuals rolling over for 20%, which represented their 5-year anniversary. We also had individuals who were rolling over after 10 years. So we had 2 sets of letters going out to 2 sets of individuals. Our history is roughly 30% will redeem for various reasons, whether it's age, etc. Especially in the early years, it was more people close to New Dawn. So probably some older individuals who had money at that time. And like Chris said, at that time, some people thought it was more of a donation than an investment. So again, we have another testimonial. We have some facts on Nova Scotia, again, that Chris had provided. What is the CEDA, RSPs, etc. And then on the right-hand side, we have our guiding principles. So this is also on our website. So some of the history of our CEDA. From 2004 to 2011, our funds raised were for New Dawn Enterprises only. So we use that to repatriate debt. And what we mean by that is we had existing bank debt with one of the big 5 financial institutions. So we paid some of that debt off, used the CEDA money to repatriate that debt. So our interest and principles were going back into the community and not going back to Bay Street when we were making the principal and interest payments. We use it to help grow our existing companies, launch new businesses, and advance our community building initiatives. So 2012, this was the first change that we made, probably more going into the venture capital world. It's the first time New Dawn CEDA was organized to invest in an outside company called Protocase. So Protocase is a company that manufactures metal enclosures for computers. So a lot of companies like Google, a lot of universities, hospitals, especially in the States, research companies, so they have their electronics and they need to house them. So in order to house them, you can't just buy a computer enclosure, and it's like like a desktop computer, like a metal enclosure outside of a desktop computer. You need certain slots to put their electronics, so you can't buy that off the shelf. So they turned that idea into a business. So in 2012, we raised $1.5 million in 1 month for them. They just recently, they had a venture capital company from Toronto who had a significant portion of ownership tied up. So Protocase had, I think, $1.1 million in cash. They paid off the venture capital company, so they were strapped for cash. So we loaned them the money to increase their cash reserves, and they also needed to expand their product line. So their employment increased from 60 to 80 employees, and sales have doubled in 3 years. So it's a real success story. In 2013, we increased the risk a little bit more. We raised the money for 3 companies. Mercado Digital Solutions, which produces software for festivals. It's a project management software to keep tenants. The music festivals will have contracts with musicians, venues, food, etc. So this software helps organize festivals. MediaSpark produces educational software and entrepreneurial type software. And Advanced Glazings makes glass with that allows, they basically replace walls. The glass replaces walls, semi-transparent, but it lets a lot of natural light into the room. So we raised $1.4 million in 2 weeks. So in 2013, we had some issues in getting our approval. Again, I don't think anyone won the chocolate cake in that year. One of the issues, again, we deal with Securities Commission and the Department of Finance. And the Department of Finance, they have to supply the certificate of the equity tax certificate, and apparently it sat on someone's desk for a couple of weeks. So we were delayed there. We kind of had a rush to get this completed. And so again, the funds were used for these companies to expand their products and replace some of their existing debt. So this past year, we raised $1.2 million in 1 month. So like I said, I think we got approval right at the end of January. We identified one company in the offering document, but just on Thursday, we had some presentations from 3 additional companies that we are looking at. And the process, if we do make a change of what was not in the offering document, we have to have a shareholder vote. So if we think that we should invest in some of these new companies, we'll have to go to the shareholders because it wasn't in the offer we got. So this is a little bit on the history by year. So we started very modestly in 2004. Again, probably at that time, Friends of New Dawn were most of the investors. So we started in 2004. In 2005 and 6, we took those years off with some other issues going on in New Dawn. We started back up in 2007, and it's really grown since. In 2011, you can see the big year, almost 2.5 million. So that was my first year doing the CEDA, and we made a commitment or had a goal to raise $2.5 million, and obviously going from 950 to $2.5 million is a big jump. So our objective there was to replace some debt that we had, and so we developed a plan. We had an advertising budget that we increased substantially, probably at least double from what it was in 2010. We hired a couple of part-time staff to help us with that advertising budget. Made some changes on the administrators and the RSP trustees and how we do transfers and RSP transfers. So we were very successful and raised $2.5 million. I think in the last 3 days we raised $1 million alone. Wow. And on March 1st, which was the deadline, corresponds with the RSP deadline, at 4:30 people were lined up at the door. So it was pretty crazy. I think at one time, one of those days, I had about $400,000 in personal checks on my desk. So it was fantastic. So in 2012, again we raised 1.5, 2013 1.4, and then this past year 1.2. So a grand total of about $9.4 million raised over those years. So these are some of the investment details of what we did, how we structured some of the deals. And the deals have kind of progressed over the years, and even 2014, I think we're going to make some more changes. So 2004 to 2011, all of our investments are loans to these companies. We don't have equity investments, they're all loans. So we loan the money, New Dawn Holdings, which is the CEDA company, loan the money to New Dawn Enterprises, which is the operating companies. 6% interest. Interest is paid monthly. The principal is due on demand, so typically with that CEDA company, there's 3 requirements for cash per year, 2 for dividends, and 1 for redemptions, which is typically around this time of year. Note, there's no security, and the loan isn't convertible. So in 2012, we invested in Protocase, 5.2% interest rate. The principal is due in 5 years. The reason we chose 5 years is that corresponds with the hold period of the individual investors, the first 5 years of the CEDA. So we structured the loan so it's due, the entire principal is due in 5 years. So in 2013, again, we made some more changes. We have some various different rates, interest rates, 6% and 5.2%. We have some security on the advanced glazing loan. And we also have Mercado and MediaSpark. We have a portion of the loan that is convertible into equity shares. So those companies are software companies. One of the things with software companies that could happen is that it could be bought by larger companies, and when that happens, there's typically a large buyout. So a part of our loan hopefully will participate if there is buyout on that. So we have about 25% of the loans that are convertible into shares. Some of the facts. Since we started, so about $3.3 million in equity tax refunds have gone back into our community. About $1.5 million in RSP refunds, and almost $1 million in dividends. Like I said, we pay about 3 to 4% dividends, and we pay them semi-annually. So we think that's That's key to keeping our investors, when they see a dividend, they see that their money is working. Another key is our share redemption. So anyone that has requested their money back, they receive it. So I think that's, we think that's very important. We have a growth from 23 shareholders in the beginning to now we have over 450.
Michael?
Yeah. One more. There we go. And I probably meet with about 60 to 70% of the investors, and I think one of the things that I've noticed is the investment education of many individuals is rather limited. So just talking about dividends, what dividends are, what RRSPs are, the impacts, I think it's really, I think it's a worthwhile purpose to explain that to the investors. I see some of the investors who want to transfer some of their money into our CEDO, and I'll give you an example. A gentleman transferred $15,000 this year, so he invested that with his financial advisor last February. So this year he had a statement. Generally I need their statement so I can get their account numbers and who the money is going to come from. So he earned $6  1 year on his $15,000. So just talking about that, I think it brought home the rather limited financial knowledge of some people. And so finally, this is my last slide, some of the impacts. We provide access to local investment for Cape Breton businesses and entrepreneurs in Cape Breton. We provide local investors with opportunity to earn competitive dividends, so 3 to 4%. Again, I've seen people with GICs and other vehicles that earn very little, so 3 to 4%. I think people are generally happy with that return. Generate over time a significant bank of locally managed Cape Breton capital that enables the significant growth of local businesses and economies. And this number, $6 million returns to the local economy. Like I said, that's equity tax refunds, RSP refunds, dividends. And we have $9.4 million working in the local economy.
Wow.
Thank you. So,
Any questions for me from back there?
Just last one, are you required to have a certain amount of your assets in GICs and other guaranteed investments in case there's run-on investments? In other words, in case many people cash in?
no. Generally, with our deals, we loan. I would say 90% of the money out. The other 10% is 5 to 10% to manage the fund. We try to structure the deal so that 5 years, when people want the redemptions, that's when the loan principal is due. And the convertible portion, hopefully going forward as we grow this fund, if we can have a successful conversion, we can have a benefit for the fund. So if one of these funds do go south, the convertible portion of our loan that we had on the deal previous will help cover those losses. That's kind of what we're thinking going forward.
You had said that, especially during ours, you have 2 or 3 paid staff. Does the fund come from the funds for that come from New Dawn, or does that come right from the CDS?
Right, it's a good question. So New Dawn Enterprises, it's like I indicated before, we have all of the individual businesses, and we administer the funds. So we administer the CEDA funds, which are separate companies. So I'm an employee of New Dawn Enterprises. All of the staff are New Dawn Enterprises. So in the beginning for New Dawn Holdings, what we did, since benefit was for New Dawn Holdings, there was no charge for the New Dawn staff for doing all the administrative paperwork for New Dawn Holdings. As we've expanded, where the benefit is not for New Dawn Holdings, it's for other companies, we do charge anywhere from a $10,000 to $30,000 management fee to the fund to cover the costs of the administration. Like I said, for 2 to 3 months, my time is strictly devoted to the CETA process. So it covers that, the annual dividend checks, letters to shareholders, etc.
Rob, do you have a? Yeah, do you have community credit unions in your area?
We do have credit unions, yes we
Is
do.
there a competition factor, or what do they feel about this fund?
Well, actually, our bank, New Dawn Enterprises Bank, is the Sydney Credit Union. And we're actually the largest customer of the Sydney Credit Union. So they don't see it as a competition. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? What's right in the back there?
Do you have the option of going or issuing equity shares instead of loans?
I think we do, Chris, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. We haven't, and maybe that may be an evolution going forward. With the loans, we get monthly dividend checks and we can use that, or monthly interest checks, and we use that to issue the dividends. If we had an equity investments, obviously the money that would earn would have to be, generally it was common shares dividends, so there's no guarantee of dividends. So the ability to issue a dividend from the CETA company may be rather limited. So right now they're involved in loans. Maybe down the road that could be an option.
What sort of interest rates do you charge for these loans?
Anywhere from 5 to 6%. And some of them have no security. So we don't. We try to keep it in that area. We try to issue a dividend at 3%, 3 to 4%. So the rest of the interest that we make is just to cover the operating costs of the funds. The general operating costs are the management fee to New Dawn. We do, for our RSP clients, we do pay the trustee the annual fee of $60, so they charge every investor $60, so we cover that fee. We think that's a great marketing tool for us, and that was one of the reasons in 2011 that we raised so much. So we changed trustees to the Canadian Worker Cooperative Federation. I think they're all over Canada. They've been a fantastic partner, and so we pay the fees. So we try to keep the fees lean, or keep the expenses lean. The CETA companies are taxable corporately, so they have to pay corporate taxes also. So we try to structure the deal so it's 6%, and so that the companies, our CETA companies, basically pay dividends, and there's not a whole lot of profit left over.
Your process for vetting the companies that you want to invest in, you do that in-house? Is that you?
Well, it's not me. Well, on the committee, we have a committee.
Okay.
What
kind of people are on that committee?
The committee, we have a board of director, or several board of directors who are business people in the community. We have 3 people from New Dawn Enterprises. So I'm an accountant, so I generally I sit on the committee, review the numbers, and then we have a presentation by each of the companies, and then we just talk about it afterwards, have meetings. And some of these companies, again, the reason why we're here is they have difficulty going to the bank. Like the software companies, they don't have any hard assets. The banks, they don't like to lend money. They're very risk averse. They want security, your firstborn, etc. So a lot of these companies that we're looking at have losses. They're startups or have been in business for a couple of years, need to expand. Exactly. So a lot of, when we look at the numbers and the projections, they have to do a business plan. But a lot of it is based on the individual. So basically the individual of the investee company, that's who you're placing your faith in. So
Do you give them a template for that presentation?
No.
You just say free for all?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
And for reporting structure in terms of, so you've chosen this company and then
Yes.
you're following up on them to make sure that
They have to provide, they have to provide quarterly financial statements and then annual financial statements from their auditors.
So those are the numbers. Do they give you a sort of progress report, like a narrative report, or just the numbers?
Generally, yeah, I'll call them up and ask them. Sometimes they do provide a narrative if the quarterlies are not, if there's some concern there, we'll get them to write a narrative and we'll forward it around to the investment committee. Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Well, thanks very much, Peter. I think what we're going to do, folks, is I'm open 15 minutes for coffee, then come on back and we're going to learn about Alberta and what Alberta's done. And remember, if you're trying to